think there is a responsibility in terms of governance and in terms of having these conversations? Because like platforms like even TikTok, where anybody can just go and just say what they need to say, and they're now the new trauma therapist or the new trauma coach. Is there a responsibility on us, the individuals, the practitioners, the therapists, whomever? Is there a responsibility on us, even as the, how would I say this, the individual experiencing the trauma, to navigate that differently? And anyone can respond, not necessarily just Raquel.
I'll take a stab at this.
Okay.
Um, yes, I think we can all agree that there's responsibility on all sides. So this is the struggle that I see with a lot of people, is that if somebody says something on social media and it feels, we'll use the word triggered because that's the word everybody loves to use. The other word I like to use is if it feels like there's an intense emotion behind it, um, then you actually, as the person being triggered, have the responsibility of asking yourself why. And that's the question that does not get asked. I don't think sometimes the issue is people's responses, it's people's questions. We don't question ourselves enough, and we don't question other people in a way that we're actually looking for information. We feel triggered, we have this emotional response, we respond, which is often by typing some really angry thing about how you don't understand my life and you don't understand what I'm going through and this is insensitive, instead of stopping and thinking, why am I so upset about this? Like, why is this bothering me so much? Why is this random person that I do not know, what is it about their response that I'm irritated about? And I think, if we all collectively took that responsibility, I think we'd see a huge shift in what we see on social media. But yes, on the other side, I think, yeah, you have to recognize that you are saying things, and what you say is going to make people feel a certain way, whether it's positive or negative or what other kind of valuation you want to put on it. And you have to take responsibility for that as well. So if somebody comes back and says, you made me feel, sure, you can say that it's not your fault, then they are choosing to feel that way, and that is not incorrect. But you also chose to say the things you said. So you have to take responsibility for that and maybe reflect on, oh, well, if I'm saying this and people are being upset, why is that as well? So I think, yeah, there's responsibility on all sides. And if we all took responsibility, I think it would look really different.
So what's the likelihood that somebody is going to take responsibility when they're triggered? Because we're going to be real about this, right? Realistically, have we been taught how to essentially take responsibility, if we're being honest with ourselves?
I will say, I've had to do it personally a few times, and it really sucks because it's it's it just I have a really lovely husband who is good at reflecting the things I need to see about myself. I don't always love that, but he does it well for me. So I actually had a scenario with my sister-in-law who some things happened and I felt really hurt. And because I don't like to feel hurt and vulnerable, I lashed out. And I wouldn't say that everything I said was not true, right? But I did not need to say it, and it was not appropriate, and it wasn't kind, and the intention behind it wasn't kind.
Yeah.
So I sent it, and then my partner was like, what are you doing? This isn't you. Like, why are you stooping to this behavior? And I literally had to sit there, and it took time. Like, I had to sit through it, and I had to play the game of, okay, what am I really feeling upset about? And then I realized what it really was a scenario made me feel how I had felt when I was younger, that I wasn't accepted, I wasn't included, I wasn't wanted, I wasn't important, all of those things. And I don't want to feel that way because that's a shitty way to feel. So I lashed out. And I want to be a better person. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to grow in who I am. So I actually messaged her back and said, I'm sorry for how I responded. It was not appropriate. I was hurt and I responded poorly. Now, the hardest part about responding like this to somebody, especially when you don't have a good relationship with them, is that you're not doing it so you can repair the relationship. You're doing it because you feel it's the right thing to do. She responded with, "Okay." So I did not get any validation for anything I had done, but internally I knew that that was the right choice. And I think that's the hard part about making the change, is that you're not going to get the validation you want from the person being like, look at you growing, you're so great. Look, you're going to get the person who says, well, what about the other 6 times you were rude to me? What about this? And that's where I think taking that big step of like ownership is hard. But one of my things I like to say is we can do hard things.
Yeah, we can say that out loud, and I'm hoping that anyone even just participating in this conversation, listening on the other side of this conversation, understands that you're not going to get it right at first. It's going to be a little bit messy. It's going to feel a little bit icky, but like she says, it's hard, but it's possible. And at the end of the day, it allows for you to build that muscle, right? Is what I'm recognizing. And even for myself. So I'm glad you even brought it up that way. I'm just being vulnerable about it, because it really isn't something that's easy, but the more that you do it is the easier it gets. So, of course, there's a thought now that we're speaking about it on a physical, on a conscious level. Now, Maddie, what do you have to say about it on a spiritual level?
Well, I did want to jump in and just say that we have to self-validate. Like, Victoria was saying, when we own our own energy, whether we're looking at something we did and apologizing for it or not, if we're seeking the validation outside of ourselves, we're probably having unrest inside and disharmony here. So just knowing your own integrity is, I didn't like how I responded. I'm going to own this and even say something to them. You've done what you need to do. Like, it doesn't matter what their response is. And when we feel like somebody has hurt us, and in the case that we do respond or lash out, and it is something that, we don't really like that we've done, I mean, we are responsible for our thoughts, our emotions, our words, our actions. Somebody else is responsible for theirs, but it's how we feel inside. That's all us.